Send to Professor.
Yeah, I said, what if you can send it and EV training? You send them to get EVs, and then you use that for Pokemon strengthening. Who doesn't want this game? Alright, it looks like we can take down another complaint about Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Pokemon Let's Go Eevee, because EVs are still inside of the game, and there's even a new EV trading method that we'll be talking about later on in this video. So if you're enjoying my coverage from E3 about Pokemon Let's Go, don't forget to leave a like on this video and comment down below. Also, if you missed my last video, it looks like experience training is going to be pretty much the same or better in this new Pokemon game. So a lot of the complaints, a lot of the issues that people were thinking like, oh, this is just the ultimate casual Pokemon game, it seems like there's almost no validity, because as Masuda has said multiple times at this point, this is a Pokemon game for everyone. This is not just a casual Pokemon game. This is not just a kids Pokemon game. This is not just a Pokemon Go players Pokemon game. This is for everyone, and we can see that in the core mechanics of the game, such as EVs being completely preserved, as well as new methods to integrate these other players into the core experiences of Pokemon. I think one other way of seeing that is just through the stat screen. That the stat screen seems to also have this EV kind of setup. Now, Pikachu didn't like really show any EV gain or anything like that, so I don't think we can really point out these bonus stats or anything, but it looks very similar to what we have in the other games that we've been playing, like Pokemon Sun and Moon, Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, and everything seems to work out. There's also natures involved. People were wondering if natures would be removed because it's just such a watered down version of Pokemon, but as Masuda, Ishihara, a lot of the other developers have said, this is also a main series Pokemon game, and it has that with all of the main series mechanics. So pretty much, it's a main series Pokemon game where wild Pokemon battles do not fight. Like, where wild Pokemon don't fight with your Pokemon. That is pretty much the only difference that is noticeable with all the information that we have at this point. There's still trainer battles, there's still EVs, and pretty much from what I can assume, there's also going to be IVs. That IVs have existed since the early days of Pokemon. Same thing when it comes to EV training. That EV training, well, training EVs at the very least were at least in the original Pokemon games, so it makes no sense to remove it even if we are going like to a simpler Pokemon time, because competitive wasn't that big back in Red and Blue. It really wasn't that much of a crazy thought. But the reasoning behind EV training, the reasoning behind IVs is that each Pokemon is different. Each Pokemon's journey, each Pokemon's experience is going to make them stronger in different ways, or you just naturally capture a weaker or stronger Pokemon. So I'm pretty much just going to like also assume safely that IVs are in the game as well, especially if EV training is in here. So it looks like competitive Pokemon is still good to go, and it looks like even though this is supposed to be a lesser version, a spin-off, a watered-down, casual game, it holds all the core aspects of Pokemon that have been built up from games 1 all the way to now. So it's looking pretty solid. Now, this is where the initial spark of EVs kind of hit me when I was looking at this. I was like, wait a second, Bulbasaur grew to level 9 and gained +1 to the hit points in this separate bar. This kind of feels like, you know, back in the older Pokemon games, where if you didn't know about EV training and you did a lot of grinding, it's like, why did I just gain +7 to my attack? Like in, I remember that in the 4th generation days. One thing I did was I had like a level 97 Trapinch, and I was able to get like +60 on my attack when I leveled up. So it's one of those things where like, oh hey, we're getting bonus stats, that's because of EVs. So it looks like they're separating out these bonus stats to kind of show you, hey, you did something special, here's a bonus to that move. And I was wondering like, okay, how did Bulbasaur get +1 to the hit points? Because it just fainted a Geodude. And also when you look at Metapod, Kakuna, they give defensive EVs. Well, actually, Caterpie gives hit points. So we saw that there was like a lot of Caterpie, there was Weedle and stuff like that that were being captured. So it seems like capturing Pokemon contributes to EV training potentially, and then also battling wild Pokemon does give your Pokemon a boost when that's going on. So that's kind of like a cool thing. It's showing players. It's kind of like making them understand their Pokemon's natural strengths, as well as these strengths that are being like taught into the Pokemon through battling and through experience like that, which I think is pretty cool. And then we go into this. So this is maybe the coolest part. At the end of the video, I'm going to show my initial reaction when I was watching this live, because one thing I really wanted to see in Pokemon Let's Go is if it's so close to Pokemon Go, why can't I just send Pokemon to the professor and get candies, get rewarded in some kind of way? And that's exactly what we have here. So Rattata, let's go and see what happens when we send Rattata to the professor. Now I'm doing the live video kind of from what this they're talking over right now. I don't know exactly when they're going to send it, but this is exactly what I was on board with. So they send Rattata and they get 1 quick candy. Now, they didn't send some of the other more evolved Pokemon, so I was wondering if that means you get more candies for higher Pokemon, which effectively says you're getting better EVs, you're getting more enhanced EV training, and then we have a candy jar. So this is perfect. This is like getting double EVs, and there we are right there. So I don't know if it's like super confirmed just yet about like how it works out with the whole training thing, but see, it says like needs 1, needs 1, needs 1. So I guess you give them candies, and that's going to give them, and then we have the EV right here. So health, attack, defense, special attack, special defense, and speed. So we have candies. This is reminiscent of wings, but I think they're going to be more impactful than that. And depending on like how many Pokemon you end up, like the kind of Pokemon that you end up turning into candy and the amount of candies you receive kind of shows how much it needs. So these Pokemon need candies to get points, but at the same time, even if this isn't exactly EV training as in 252 EVs or something like that, and maybe it's a bit more of like an easier system, here it is right here. So we go and battle Pokemon in the wild. They seem to have some kind, or even like if we're doing trainer battles, they seem to have some kind of influence on our Pokemon stats, similar to EVs, and then we go with these candies and stuff. Yeah, increases HP by 1. So I don't know if you can see it under the bar right there, but it says health candy increases hit points by 1. So I'm wondering if each candy is worth roughly 4 EVs, and if there's ways of also, you know, multiplying this, maybe in the later game, maybe as you're getting 3 candies for turning in a Pidgeot or a higher level Pokemon, that means you're actually getting those stats up pretty quickly, and maybe the EV maxing is going to balance out differently, because like 60 candies to max out a stat does sound pretty crazy, but as an augmentation to other forms of EV training, I like it. And I also like that this, instead of having hundreds of Pokemon sitting inside your box that you can't really do anything with, you turn them into EVs. So you get EVs for catching them, you get EVs for turning them into candy. That sounds pretty awesome, and it's just a very rewarding system. You have to go out and capture a lot of Pokemon because there's no wild Pokemon battling, so you're pretty much capturing everything to progress, and then you're using that for other stages of progression. So everything that you do in this game eventually boils down to competitive. And it also makes it easier. That the average kid is going to be like, oh, wow, or like the average kid doesn't understand EV training. They don't understand these smaller mechanics that you can do to optimize making stronger competitive Pokemon, but at the very least, you know, the most simple Pokemon player, once they have any experience with the game, they're going to learn, well, attack doesn't do anything on Pikachu because it even says, like, special attack is higher, special moves is what it tends to use. So for the most part, they're going to understand how to specifically target stats to make those Pokemon better, and then they get a free access to this in the candy jar. So that means it's actually going to make the overall population of Pokemon players more competitive, even though this is a casual, stupid spin-off game that's only meant for kids and Pokemon Go players. Everything that we're getting out of this seems to show otherwise, and I'm very excited for that feature, and I think that's kind of it. So we don't have the full details. Maybe as more demos and stuff come out, it'll be known. Maybe we have to like wait until there's actual gameplay or clarification on this, but this is really cool. You know, back in the 4th generation, when we started getting like these higher status of like competitive Pokemon, you didn't know about these things. You had to buy the guidebook, and even then it said like Pokemon gain these extra stats and stuff. Like, they didn't call it IV training, they didn't call it EV training. They kind of hinted that other things happen, and there was a lot of research that had to be done. Now the games are flat out telling you how EV training works. It shows you the EVs that you're getting in your little stat screen right here. So it's looking pretty awesome. IVs are still in, EVs are still in, experience isn't handicapped at all. Also, something that makes me feel like IVs are still in is that there's markings for your Pokemon stats. So that's pretty much just become the accepted way of like marking a Pokemon to kind of show their IVs. I think this has actually been acknowledged in the Pokemon games as well. So keeping that in there is a pretty good sign as well. And again, there's no reason for Game Freak to change IVs because IVs weren't introduced to be competitive. They were introduced to make every player's adventure different, every Pokemon in this world unique. So this game still holds on to the spirit of Pokemon, integrates competitive, and then hasn't dropped any of the features because it's still a main series game. It's beautiful. I love it. So if you guys enjoy the video, hope you all have a nice day. Thank you very much for watching.
Yeah. We've actually introduced, a new system. In addition to what you just said, we've introduced a new system to strengthen Pokemon with Candy and Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee.
Candy strengthening and Let's Go?
ちょっとこれに育成システムをスライドをちょっと用意しました。
And we got a couple of slides just to show off how that actually works.
はい。これ今ちょうど
There it is.
So you can see on this screen here, it gives you the option to send to Professor.
Yeah, I said, what if you could send it and EV training? You send them to get EVs. and then you use that for Pokemon strengthening. Who is Who doesn't want this game?
So this one is a quick candy you saw on screen there.
This is what it's a catch-a-thon. You go out, you catch a bajillion Pokemon, you turn them into EVs, you get experience while doing it. Why? This is why I just call them non-fans. Like, if anyone didn't expect Game Freak to have a system in place that's fun,
Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee, you didn't really see it.
You're an idiot.
Well, and what it also means is that as you're playing through the game and you're having those wild Pokemon,
so that means you want to catch every Pokemon you see, and you want to just stockpile candies.
There's actually a way that builds back into the gameplay.
And it feeds into gameplay, and you send a professor. That's freaking cool! And there's not going to be any online or competitive. There it is.
So, and as you can see, I mean, I've been showing that all these different ways we want to make players just catch more and more Pokemon. And this is another incentive to do that.
That's an incentive. Good job, Masuda. You finally got incentive for competitive.
I'm excited to be able to not only sit down and play Pokemon on my TV, but also to be able to play co-op with my own daughter and introduce her to
this
the
is
Pokemon
fun
series as well.
insanity grinding, and you're all it's like double EVs because you're getting EVs for actually fighting that Pokemon is what it looked like because we got the experience. Like when there was a level up against that trainer, there was some kind of EVs going on, and then there's double EVs. So the competitive aspect of Let's Go looks pretty exciting to grind it.